So you guys identify this problem. Becomes a pain in the ass on the real estate development side. You're like, look, we're a month into this and we just now found out that we have this endangered bird that's holding up the project. So you guys, how did you decide to go full time on this and actually develop something? I think that you mentioned before we got on the podcast that you guys are now backed by Blue Bear. So let's talk about, did you guys decide to build an MVP while, still at your jobs? Did you just decide to quit, go full time on it, raise capital? Let's talk about that whole process.
Yeah. So the idea for transect came around right after 2014 when I was doing a ton of oil and gas work at the time. And my clients were calling me every single day, say, hey, I'm thinking about building this lateral or this gathering system. And I basically want to put it in the ground like next week. Tell me what my environmental problems are. And it was real time consuming for us. I mean, just besides the fact that we were trying to be out in the field, doing permitting, all this kind of thing. This is where the idea for transect came from, is like we were doing a ton of research to try to create a PDF report about here's all your environmental problems and what you should do about it. And that inefficiency is where transect came from. Yeah. And so once the market kind of slowed down, we were chatting one day and we were like, Sam had seen this problem before. I had been running around ragged for the last 2 years trying to create this, what we call like a desktop report in the industry, like this, analysis of what your potential problems could be. And we were both like, well, there's a better way to do this. And now is probably the right time. And so that was back in, I think, early 2016. We incorporated in 2016 in the summer. We built the MVP in the fall when we were all still full-time at our previous jobs. We've actually built it in a weekend, like in a hot tub. And it's like...
That's a first.
Yeah.
And then we quit. Once we figured that out, we got some early buy-in from some of my old oil and gas clients to see if it would be something that they were interested in. And we quit our jobs to start full-time, at least our CTO and I quit. You kind of came on full-time a little bit later. Sam did in January of 2017. So
you guys had developed this MVP, was it an actual technological platform? Did you just have a wireframe for it? How did you guys build it? Who built it?
Yeah. So our CTO at the time built it. He was one of our co-founders. And it was basically the idea behind the MVP is, can we draw a line, which could represent a pipeline, on a map and have that map spit out some information? Right. So we don't just want to draw a line on a map like you would on like Google Maps. Like that's not helpful. Data on a map is not helpful unless you know what it means. And so if we draw a line on a map and then that tells us, it spits out some information like, this sample permit is what you needed. That's basically what our MVP was to see if the technology could be there where we could have a third party draw a line on a map that we hosted and then have it tell us something. And that was basically the MVP that we built.
So originally, your job really before transect was going out. You're essentially manually kind of drawing on this line, say it's a right of way for a pipeline or something. And then you're going out and you're going to a million different sources and trying to figure out what endangered animals and permits and a variety of things. And so you're essentially replacing your job, right, with transect.
A part of my job. Yeah. The field component is absolutely something we don't do that, you still need consultants to help you with and even the permitting piece. But that initial 5 to 10% of a job, which is just the planning phase, the due diligence phase, that's where transect helps.